The room didn't just go quiet, it collapsed. Not the polite silence people fake to stay comfortable. This one had weight, it pressed into your chest, sat in your throat. My husband blinked like I'd said something wrong. His mother froze mid-chew. And for the first time that night, I didn't smile. That's the moment everything changed. My name is Elena. I'm 34, married for 7 years. And until that moment, I was the kind of woman people describe as easy. Easy to work with. Easy to talk to. Easy to overlook. I was reasonable, calm, patient. The kind of woman who keeps peace, even when that peace slowly erases her. I earned more than my husband. Funded most of our lifestyle. The apartment upgrades. The vacations his mother loved to brag about. Even the unexpected family emergencies that somehow always circled back to me. And still, I was treated like a guest in my own marriage. Especially by his mother, Marina. A woman who never raised her voice. Because she never had to. She controlled everything with tone, timing, and suggestion. And worst of all, she truly believed my money belonged to her. That dinner started like every other one. Her apartment smelled like overcooked chicken and lemon cleaner. The table was set too formally, plates aligned, glasses polished. Like we were strangers trying to impress each other instead of family. Marina smiled when we walked in. Warm, controlled, practiced. Then came the questions. So Elena, she said lightly, eyes flicking to my purse. Are bonuses still unpredictable these days? A small pause. Must be stressful, not knowing how much extra money you really have. It sounded harmless. It always did. Until later, when you replayed it in your head. I answered the way I always did. Calm, polite, careful. I said my job was stable. I said I was grateful. I said nothing about the car parked outside that I paid for. Nothing about the vacation she proudly told her friends about. Nothing about the medical bill she quietly passed to my husband last month. Assuming I'd cover it like I always did. Then she laughed. Soft, indulgent. Well, she said, turning to him. At least her income can help the family when needed. A pause. That's what wives are for. And something inside me finally aligned. I didn't look at her. I looked at him. One more comment about my salary, I said quietly. And I stopped being polite. No emotion, no raised voice. Just clarity. The kind that makes people uncomfortable. He didn't defend me. Didn't question her. Didn't even acknowledge what I'd said. He just reached for his water. Eyes down. And Marina smiled. Not surprised. Not offended. Satisfied. Like she'd already won. That's when I understood something I'd been avoiding for years. This wasn't about dinner. It never was. The drive home felt longer than usual. Streetlights stretched across the windshield, blurring into something distant and unreachable. He said nothing. And silence, when it's chosen, carries more weight than any argument. I waited. For him to defend me. To acknowledge what happened. To say anything that sounded like respect. Instead, he exhaled and said, You didn't have to make it awkward. Awkward. That was the word he chose. Not humiliating. Not invasive. Not disrespectful. Awkward. That's when everything became clear. Marina had never been obvious. She didn't need to be. She asked questions that sounded like concern. Made jokes that felt like advice. Offered suggestions that always involved my money. And every time, he smoothed it over. She didn't mean it. You're overthinking it. Family is family. But family doesn't send late-night money requests. Family doesn't forward renovation quotes labeled, just an idea. Family doesn't track your income like it's shared property. Lying awake that night, I finally saw it clearly. This wasn't random. It was structured, deliberate. And I was the only one pretending not to see it. A week later it came. Casual, almost forgettable. We were having coffee. He said my mom might downsize soon. Like he was talking about the weather. Then, she was wondering if we could help for a few months. We. That word landed wrong. How much, I asked. He paused. And that pause told me everything. When he finally said the number, it matched my monthly income almost exactly. Not savings. Not extra. Mine. I laughed. Short, sharp, surprised. And you agreed to this? He frowned. I said we'd talk about it. But I already knew what that meant. Talking was just a softer version of yes. That night I opened my laptop. And for the first time, I didn't scroll casually. I looked closely. Transfers. Small ones at first. Easy to ignore. Utilities I never used. Subscriptions I never approved. Payments labeled miscellaneous. Individually, they meant nothing. Together, they told a story. Not one big betrayal. Dozens of small ones. Carefully normalized over time. And the worst part, he never thought I'd check. Of course it didn't stay private. It never does. Marina hosted a birthday lunch that Sunday. A full audience. Relatives, neighbors. People who loved performance more than truth. I wore something simple. Neutral expression, controlled posture. And I watched. Midway through dessert she stood. Raised her glass. I just want to thank Elena, she said warmly. For being such a supportive wife. Smiles, nods, approval. Some women forget that money isn't theirs alone once they marry. Laughter spread across the table. Soft, comfortable. And my husband. He smiled. That's when something inside me didn't break. It shut off. Clean, precise. Like a switch. I stood. Lifted my glass. To clarity, I said calmly. Because misunderstandings grow. When people assume access they were never given. The room froze. Her smile slipped. Sit down, my husband whispered. I didn't. And in that moment, everything changed. I didn't cry afterward. I expected to. But I didn't. At home he talked. Explained tone, intent, embarrassment. Everything. Except responsibility. I didn't argue. Because I was already somewhere else. Calm doesn't arrive suddenly. It settles. When a decision has already been made. I opened my laptop again. And this time, I was precise. I listed everything. My incomes. My contributions. Every account I funded. Every place where my silence had been mistaken for permission. Then I corrected it. Accounts separated. Access removed. Authorizations changed. One emails. Polite, clear, unemotional. Boundaries. Reimbursement. Expectations. No accusations. Just fact. Because revenge doesn't need noise. It needs timing. 3 days later she called. Her voice was sweet. Too sweet. Elena, darling, there seems to be a problem with the transfer. I let the silence stretch. There isn't, I said. The access was temporary, it's been corrected. A pause. But we were counting on that money. I know. That's why I sent the email. Her tone shifted. You're being dramatic. No, I said calmly. I'm being accurate. The repayment request came next. Itemized. Dated. Undeniable. That's when everything changed. Not anger. Fear. She stopped calling me. Went straight to him. Long messages, voice notes, tears. She says you're humiliating her, he told me. She says family doesn't keep ledgers. I looked at him. She already made it public. Remember the toast. I didn't argue. I didn't chase. I formalized. A lawyer. A consultation. A letter. And suddenly, everything shifted. Marina didn't scream. Didn't fight. Didn't deny. She paid. Every dollar. Quietly. Because there was something she didn't expect me to notice. Something buried in years of family help. My money wasn't just support. It was protection. There were financial implications. Ones she couldn't afford to have exposed. I wasn't just convenient. I was necessary. When my husband finally sat across from me, really looked at me, his voice cracked. You could have ruined her. I shook my head. No. I gave her a choice. A long silence. Then he asked, "Are we okay?" That was the moment everything became clear. I warned you, I said softly. Not her. You. I moved out 2 weeks later. No shouting. No scenes. Just finished. Financially intact. Legally clean. Marina lost access. My husband lost the comfort of silence. And I gained something I hadn't had in years. Control. Money reveals entitlement. Boundaries reveal character. And I learned exactly who they were. The moment I stopped being useful.